So look, man, you look at Russiagate, and it was, what did we learn about Russiagate? For those that don't know,
it was nothing.
There were several high-profile people who were going on CNN and MSNBC saying, I have seen the evidence, it exists, Trump did this.
Right.
And then what were they saying when they testified privately? I have not seen any evidence, I have no idea.
Right.
And then it wasn't until this year the evidence actually came out. They made it all up. Yep. They were cheating the whole time.
Not only they, I'm sorry, it's not just they. Biden did this.
Right.
With Obama. Like they both sat together and they plotted this out.
We don't know to what extent, but we know they were involved. And that's the important
We know they were involved. That's all I need to know.
That Joe Biden
That's
lied.
proof. There's proof.
Joe Biden's been caught in several lies now.
Exactly.
Why were they going after Michael Flynn? And now Michael Flynn has basically been exonerated. Well, I don't want to say exonerated because the political disparity in perspective, but the charges are gone.
See, these are the kind of things that make me think that there's no way Trump's part of the deep state. Because the deep state was trying to stop him from becoming president.
The conspiracy is that it's all show to make you think.
Of course.
Sure. But I don't believe the conspiracy either.
I don't know.
They destroyed Michael Flynn's life.
They did.
And they even admitted, this was in part of the notes, that in the conversation with, you might want to fact check me on this one. I'm pretty sure, though. In the conversation they had with Obama and Biden, someone said, the FBI notes showed, Michael Flynn's conversation with Kislyak was on the level.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, go after him anyway.
Yep.
And so, Obama's there. Biden is there.
Yep.
Biden did an unmasking request. It's a really, really complicated story. And this is what's really hard for the American people is to understand
the complex,
what happened with this.
Yeah, the web of
Long story short,
what it all is.
Michael Flynn was a national security advisor. He had a conversation with the Russian ambassador, I believe, asking him not to escalate sanction wars. Saying, please let us come in and do our thing before there's escalation. That was it.
Yeah.
The conversation was on the level. Most people agreed. In an informal meeting at the White House with no legal counsel present, Michael Flynn said he didn't talk to Kislyak, and they went, gotcha. He just lied to an FBI agent. And then they claimed that was grounds. They went to him and said, if you do not plead guilty, we will investigate your son. And so Michael Flynn said, I'll do whatever you want.
It's a threat.
Yep.
Yeah, it was Joe Biden. They think that Joe Biden actually personally raised the idea of investigating Michael Flynn.
He mentioned the Logan Act. It was Biden who mentioned the Logan Act, right?
Yeah.
Long story short, Michael Flynn did nothing wrong, literally nothing wrong. It was in his official duties, his job. He was an incoming and national security advisor having a conversation with another country. And they found an obscure way to force him, and threatening his family, to plead guilty so that they could keep pushing this fake theory of Russian collusion. They cheated.
They lied.
The whole thing was a scam.
Yep.
And I'm surprised Trump was able to win on that one. Because they were doing it for years investigating him. Now, to be fair, Trump made a whole bunch of banana peel moments, slipping around and falling, trying to firing Comey.
Doesn't have the best tact,
but he still ended up winning on that one. Mm-hmm. And now they're going for the same strategy. Trump's going to cheat again. It's like, no, I think you're going to cheat.
Yes.
You never accepted the results of 2016. You hate Trump. You've been accusing him of scandal after scandal.
Trying to impeach him since he got in office.
I think if Trump gets reelected,
he's going to drop the hammer on them all.
We're going to see a perp walk.
Oh,
we are going to see tons of people. It's going to be historic.
That'd be amazing. Lydia's face shows that she agrees.
That's why they won't let him win.
They can't let him win.
By any means necessary.
That's right. And that's what I'm saying. They're firing on all cylinders. They are firing everything they've got. They are whipping the emotions of the American public around their fingers.
Might work.
And I see it. And it saddens me a lot. I'm speaking up. I'm being more vocal than I've ever been in my life.
The fact that they're going
after
going after Bill Barr is the really interesting thing to me.
Yeah.
Bill Barr was one of the smartest moves Trump has ever made.
Oh yeah.
Because he was the attorney general in the 90s. He was attorney general, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
In the 90s under, I think, what, H.W. Bush was it?
I think it was. I'll double check that.
Yeah. So basically, you pull a guy out of retirement who's got a clean track record serving the country, bring him back into the same thing, and now they're trying to smear him again, but it's not so easy.
Right.
Because it's like, do you mean to tell me he was corrupt in the 90s? It's like, well, he's working for Trump now, and he's defending Trump. It's like, yeah, maybe. Or maybe...
You just want Trump to lose.
No, maybe there is a group of corrupt crony politicians who have been hiring their buddies and infecting our government with their BS to enrich themselves.
And are losing a lot of money to the cancel of the TPP with China because they have a lot of money invested there.
Right, but imagine this. Could you imagine how crazy it would be if, like, say, I don't know, somebody working in government had a foundation, maybe a Secretary of State, had a foundation where they were taking donations from foreign governments while they were running the administration? Like, that could never happen, right?
Right.
Yeah. I know that reference.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Right.
Amazing.
So I'm not here to pretend Trump is perfect on anything. I don't like most of the people who run for office, but Bill Barr seems like he's on the level.
Yeah, since '89 with HW.
Yep, simply does.
Yeah.
And they didn't have any problems with him back then.
Nope.
Take a look at Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh was vetted when he became a federal judge. All of a sudden, they surfaced 30-year-old allegations against him and run him over the coals, calling him evil.
Yeah.
Like this is a whole new level of insidious, strange, and weird.
It's that anger. It's that elephant riding around. They are trying to control everybody with it. It's sad.
What was the name of that guy who he was the banker plot? You know the banker plot?
Let me look it up.
Yeah, but look at the banker plot. This, my understanding, was a conspiracy in like the early 1900s. Was it Smedley Butler? Was that his name?
I've
Banker plot?
yeah, I'm not sure.
Smash the like button.
It's a film.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Something happened. Okay, maybe I'm thinking of a movie, but I'm pretty sure something happened where a bunch of super wealthy individuals were trying to convince like a high-ranking military official to overthrow the government and give them control of everything. Were we not able to find it?
Well, it's very race-oriented.
Race-oriented?
Yeah, is that what it's about?
No, the thing I'm thinking of is
lost.
like bankers who are like, we want financial control of the government, and they wanted this guy to overthrow it or something.
Okay.
Maybe people are gonna comment in the chat
Smash the like
with
button.
what it is.
Oh, that's the.
You couldn't find it? Maybe I don't know. Smedley Butler. Some people are
Smedley
saying.
Butler.
Oh, you missed
Did you
my
look it up?
headbutt? Oh, I'll do it later.
Hold on, I'm distracted.
Oh.
Smedley Butler.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm having fun with this smash button.
He was a Marine.
Pillow.
People are saying.
Yeah,
love
he was
this.
a Marine.
Yeah,
Most decorated Marine in U.S. history. During his 34-year career as a Marine, he participated in military actions in the Philippines, China, and Central America and Caribbean.
Did they mention anything about conspiracies or something?
Do.
I wonder where I read that.
I'm not sure. Sounds interesting.
The business
He claimed
plot.
the
Someone
existence
says.
of a political conspiracy by
business plot.
business leaders
Yeah,
to
there you go.
overthrow President Roosevelt. Okay,
Boom.
we figured it out. Wasn't the banker plot, it was a business plot.
I read too much,
It all runs
and
together.
I'm like, sometimes I'm like, was that in a movie? Did I
It's a
make this up?
dream.
My brain has fractured.
I'm going to use that
No,
against you in
I'm-
the future.
No, I'm kidding. By the way, I was correct. That's the point.
Yeah.
No,
I actually knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
The
It doesn't matter.
business
You
plot.
said it.
Yeah,
What,
the
am I going
business
crazy?
Plot, maybe a little
The
bit.
business plot.
You're just going
So
crazy.
the reason I bring that up is, look, conspiracies happen.
Mm-hmm.
So for all that we know, the Obamagate stuff. Like, think about. I know a lot of people firmly believe it is true, but I firmly believe we need hard evidence before I make any assertions.
True.
But entertain the possibility that Donald Trump, for all of his character defects, and boy howdy are there a lot, is just a guy who wanted to be president to help this country.
I think that 100%.
And wanted to apply his knowledge to economics and foreign trade. And there is a group of people who have infected our federal government at the highest levels, who've hired their buddies, and are using their power to subvert the American people.
Yep. The more I look into Trump, the more I see that to be 100% true,
Well,
man.
certainly-
he wants people to survive. He wants people to do well. He appreciates people who that work hard.
Did I tell you the story about the dude I met who Trump gave him a free iPod?
No.
So this dude I knew in Chicago said that when they built Trump Tower,
Okay.
he was going there for some reason, like a delivery or something. And as he was walking in, he knew that he could hear people behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't really pay attention, but he walked up to the door and opened it and then stepped aside to let them in. And then when he did, it was Trump and Trump's people.
Yeah.
And then they all walked past him. And then he was like, whoa, hey, it's Trump. And then Trump's about 10 feet in front of him. He walks in, drops the door, and then Trump stops, turned around and goes, hey, kid, thanks, and throws an iPod.
Nice.
This was back when iPods were like a big
That's
deal.
so cool.
That's dope.
Yeah, it was like the new iPod.
Like
It
with
was,
Trump's music on it too.
Yeah.
Dope.
Awesome.
And he
That's
was
cool.
like, whoa. And their
I
stories.
got the Trump pod.
Dude.
It's actually gold.
I went when Trump first got elected. I went to Trump Tower,
Uh-huh.
and he's got that restaurant and the ice cream shop. And I asked everybody what they thought about him. They love him.
Yeah.
They all loved him.
Yeah.
Some people would say like he would come down and just give them $100 bills. Just
awesome.
like come down and give him money.
That's not surprising.
I think I asked somebody at the ice cream shop or the restaurant or whatever, and I was like, "What do you think?" And they're like, "He comes down sometimes. He's really nice to everybody." And I'm
cool.
like, "Do you believe what they say about him?" And they were like, "No." But some people think Trump's playing it up for the media. Like he's exaggerated his character and his
Okay.
politics to like generate, controversy and buzz. But the people who worked at the tower, they were like, he's great.
I have heard. Do you know what I've heard?
What have you heard?
I've heard he paid off a bunch of people's like medical bills and student loans and stuff, and he does it really quietly. It's like super under the table, but
This
he
is
does
hilarious.
it, and he never asks for anything for it.
I firmly believe that based on all of the negative press, that if you were to remove all of the negative press, actually just go back in time in 2015, Trump was like considered to be one of the best people in the country.
Yep.
Like he was a good dude. He's a civil rights leader. He's all these really great things.
Yeah, he stood next to Rosa Parks and won an award with her. It's like,
But as soon as he ran as a Republican, they do what they do best.
Yep.
They call everybody who runs as a Republican racist.
That's true.
White nationalist, all that evil stuff.
To call him a racist means you know nothing about him. That's it. From what I've learned about him, it's amazing. The amount of stuff that he's done for the minorities in this country blows me away. It's the more I research into him, the more I really like him a lot. That's just a simple truth.
I actually heard one of the best explanations from this guy. I forgot his name. It was in New York when they were doing that Shia LaBeouf thing with that flag. I can't remember what that flag was called.
He will not divide us.
Yeah, he will not divide us. And there was a guy there, anti-Trump, and I was talking to him, and I asked him what he thought about Trump. And he was like, he's got problems. I don't think he's the worst guy in the world, but I think, we definitely need somebody else, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he was a black dude, by the way. So I asked him, I was like, do you think Trump is racist? And he goes, oh, yeah, but he's the least racist president we've ever had. And I was like, wait, hold on. Wait, you think he's racist, but he's the least racist? You think Obama was more racist? And he was like, yeah.
Wow.
And he basically told me that he was like, listen, man, you got to understand, we had presidents who were slave owners. Pretty sure that means they were racist, right? And I'm like, that's a good point. And he goes, Trump, he has his prejudices, man. Of course, I think he's racist, but compared to all the rest of them, he's the least racist we've ever had. And I'm like, that's a really interesting way of putting it. And I think from a certain perspective, it's fair to say everybody has certain prejudices.
Well, you are attracted to people that look closer to your own. Like that's it's been proven.
Physical attractiveness. People.
That's kind of what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and we forget that we're animals. We are animals, all right?
Babies
and
do
we're
that,
mammals.
Yeah.
And it's like even today, for example, I was talking to a friend of mine, a close friend of mine, and I was like, it happens to be an African American, and he was telling me, I was like, tell me, like, talk to me about like what you went through, and grew up without being around white people in general, and changed schools, and finally saw his first white person and was afraid of them. Just a 6-year-old, first interaction, felt fear because it was something different.
Yeah,
it's innate in us. It's something that you don't know, you don't understand. And it's learned though that it's a bad person. That that in itself it's different. We have to.
That's why I think proximity is the cure for a lot of these biases and bigotry.
Right.
That's why the segregationists terrify me.
Exactly. I agree. Like Don Lemon was talking to Terry Crews, right? And they were talking about how he was trying to drive home that it isn't like, or Terry Crews was saying, it's not white on black. It's not black on white. It's like everyone is in their own clusters, and that's where the crime happens, to each other. And it's like, sure, but when we diversify, when we come together, and find out we're all pretty much the same. We all want to be loved. We all want to eat and be comfortable and live life happily.
Man, the fact that I said this the other day, and I'll say it a million times. The fact that there's a white progressive calling a black conservative a white supremacist proves race has nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
It is ideology.
Exactly.
Straight away.
I mean, and when you see black people killing each other, all like nonstop. Like we look at New York, what's happening? Chicago, Atlanta, like all these places, it's happening. And yeah, there's people there. There's a very small group that are actually still speaking up for them, but it is just being lost.
Well, it's because the political
completely.
It's the mainstream politics doesn't care about it. They can't weaponize it.
Yep, exactly.
So you have this. The cause of this crime has a lot to do with poverty and culture. Like so gang culture, for instance.
Yeah.
Gang culture isn't the biggest issue. The biggest factor, is my understanding, having covered some of the stuff in Chicago. It's actually just general. I don't know. It's not gang culture. It's some kind of like just they don't have a respect for life. And it's cultural. It's nothing to do with race.
Well, it's
as
because-
exemplified
and
by
that's
the people in my
society.
neighborhood.
They're trying to bring society down, but society has given you this comfortable life.
Well, these far left activists are.
Okay,
Like
right.
in Chicago,
Yes,
there's
yes.
very little thought to like if you mess with my friends in my neighborhood, we dial to 11.
Yeah.
You know, so in my neighborhood, it was like this culture was bred across all different races. You have the south side of Chicago where there's a lot of poverty, and there is a culture of violence and anger and dialing the knob all the way up.
Yeah,
like I told you
it's
like last week or 2 weeks ago that there was a fight outside of the high school in my neighborhood, and it was a glorious, diverse group of people hating each other.
Yeah.
It's great, right? And one guy drew a gun. They were boxing. One guy lost. He reached under a car where he hid a weapon. He pulled out a gun. Or no, he pulled out a 2x4. And then the other guy was like, "Oh, you want to bring a weapon, huh?" And then he walked over to his friend and grabbed a gun. And then everyone started screaming and running.
Yep.
And it was like that mentality of like violence and taking things up to the extreme level of we were hitting each other and now I'm just going to shoot you. That's just part of like some weird culture that exists.
To quote one of my favorite movies, evil begets evil.
So
I think it's in the Bible
what,
also,
what do
but
you get with like Karen culture?
Fifth Element.
With like high level upper middle class Karens? I will sue you. No, I will sue you. No, I will sue you. And that's the extent to which they take things.
Yeah.
It's like litigation. But it's a cultural phenomenon. And it's completely not racial, as evidenced by the fact that you have wealthy conservative black people arguing with, like middle class white progressives about who's the real white supremacist.
Right,
It
exactly.
like completely disproves the narrative of the left that there are like if they ever stopped and actually just like stepped back and watched a video of what they were doing,
Yeah.
maybe then they would realize race wasn't a factor in it.
Wouldn't that be wonderful if they actually stopped for a
can't do
second
it.
and just took a look at what they're doing
That would be
and
nice.
maybe read a history book,
Yeah, good luck on that one, huh? Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.